Hi, my name is Evan. I am from Melbourne, Australia, and I've been involved in a project called Musical Mugwumps, which gathers people together, people who love musicals and want to be creative, and we read through musicals over Zoom for fun on a Sunday night during COVID lockdown. So I've been involved in a few of them, and it's been a whole lot of fun. And I've really wanted to try and push myself creatively with what we can do with a webcam and a microphone and a computer. And last night I was involved in the read-through of Cats, which is an old classic, and I love it or hate it. It's with us to stay. And I wanted to try and really put a lot in creatively into my assignment. So I was assigned the song The Awful Battle of the Pekes and the Pollicles, which is an interesting piece. I couldn't even remember the song very well. So I was given that song 3 days ago on Thursday, and I had 3 days to figure out what I would do with it. Now, most people will play an instrument or sing to the camera and dress up, and really it's a whole lot of fun. And I wanted to try and utilize what I had with me and with the experience that I have as well with technology to see how far I could actually push this thing. I'm not a dancer. I don't really have makeup and do a whole lot of dress up. So I just had my instruments here and my computer and me, and I had 3 days to plan it. So what I want to do is just quickly run through the process that I took and show you behind the scenes how I put together this 7-minute little story from Cats. So that is the background, and what I want to run through then is like how I did the visuals, the video, and then the audio and the triggers to put all those things together. So there's quite a bit going on. So let me show you. My process first was I needed to listen to the song because I listened to it a lot of times. Firstly, because I don't know it very well, and secondly, because there are actually lots of little bits to it. So when I started to break down the song, and this is part of my planning, let me share this with you here. So when I started, breaking down the song, there were about 12 different sections in the song. It's very bitsy. It's jumps to lots of random little bits. Here in the actual video, we've got Munkustrap giving his introduction after Deuteronomy comes on board. There's lots of dancing going on. There's lots of group moments. He's sharing the story. And there's lots of words as well. There's lots of verses. And then there's the story of the Pekes and the Pollicles, the two rival dog gangs. And then what happens is the great Rumpus cat comes along and intimidates the dogs, which we'll see. There's a second video. There's a bagpipe sequence there. So then there's a second video where he comes along and saves the day and stops the fight, and the dogs run away. So I went through the process of just figuring out what was currently going on. We were given a score as well, which is kind of helpful, but just really full on, and I wasn't going to do it note for note the score way. And then what I had to do is go, well, what am I going to do with each of these sections if I'm going to do this a bit differently? And particularly listening to the main verses and then the section where they sing bark, bark, bark. I was trying to reimagine what that would be like. And so it's the current feel or the traditional feel of the song is, now on the occasion of it's just that very typical 6/8 sort of quite rapid march sort of thing. And I was imagining when I was listening to that Dizzy Rascal sort of rapping over it instead, and doing that with a 4/4 beat behind it. So like this sort of 4/4 beat going on, but rapping in triplets essentially. And so I had Dizzy Rascal in my head, and then there's, that sort of thing's also done with Hamilton. There's a lot of that rapping going on. Not that I'm the biggest Hamilton fan, but I respect it. So I figured I could do that for most of the verses. And then there are other sections through it. There's the bagpipe solo, and I thought, well, why not try and turn that into a bit of a guitar solo, a bit like Bohemian Rhapsody or something like that, where it just goes really big and epic. And then a section later on where it gets a bit more hushed and silent when the great Rumpus cat comes on the scene, and I want to make that different again. So there are all these different sections going on, and I wanted a bit of mystery to it and some arpeggios in different places. So I was really going to sort of stray, no cat pun intended, stray from what's traditionally been done, and to make it much more electronic and contemporary. So with all that in mind, let's jump back to this. I will now show you. Oh yeah, I came up with a plan. Like, I figured I want some visuals. I want there, because it's going to be electronic, I want to have stuff going on behind me, in front of me visually while I'm playing, and everything I'm doing was playing live, and I wanted there to be response to that with the visuals. And then I also wanted there to be some visuals when there's the barking of the dogs, and also then when the Rumpus cat comes on, I wanted to really represent Rumpus. So with that, there's I knew that there were lots of things to do. So if I jump back to here, we can see that, where do I have? I had a list of things that I wanted to do. I had the rapping and electronic. I wanted to be dark and moody, lots of video, flashing, live effects. I was thinking maybe in the marching scene having like happy little Vegemites, but I thought, no, I wasn't sure if I'd grab a video for that or not, but that would make sense. And again, I wanted to tell the story. I didn't want it just to be wow factor. I still wanted to tell the story and use the technology to support the story. And then there's the bark section where I wanted dogs to be barking through that. So I have a program called Ableton, which is an audio program, and it's very, very powerful, and I sort of get a little bit of it, but I want to sort of push myself in how to do that better, to be able to do the different sections. And then visually, there's a program called OBS where you can run different windows and displays and overlay them and run effects on them. So I knew that there were pieces I could put together, and it was a matter of then trying to make them fit together and work at the right time and trigger at the right time. So I had a list of things I needed to try and conquer technically. So I needed to, with the videos, I needed to make some videos. I needed to get some triggers working. I needed to have a way of doing my face as a cat, and I didn't have any suitable makeup to use. And then there's a whole lot of video effects as well. So if I just quickly show you a little bit of the end result, you probably won't be able to hear anything. But I've got a cat's head in place there, and that was a live mask filter. And then when we start to work through, there's oops, we've gone too far. I've got some video. Oh, there's Haley. There you go. So we've got some effects over the front of it as well. There we go, that sort of thing. So there are a few pieces in there. So the first one was my cat's head, and I figured, these days with Instagram and Snapchat, and you can overlay filters and special effects. So I wanted to try and go for that. Okay, so the first one is I found that you could download a desktop app for snap features, for snap filters. So this is my webcam now, which I think we can see. And I just looked up cat, and here are all the cats. And you can put a filter on. So, hi, I'm a cat now, as you can see. So you can play with different ones. There are a few interesting ones there. I like this one because it looks like it's painted on your face, which is kind of like what cats does. And that got me thinking, maybe, like, is there a way that I could create my own and actually become Munkustrap myself? Now, in the end, I had a go of it actually. So this is Munkustrap. He's got, you know, quite defining features there and a big mane. And I tried to actually create a Munkustrap, but it didn't quite. I didn't quite work the way I wanted to, and would have taken quite a bit more time. But for the record, there's an app called Lens Studio, which is a free download, and it's official from you know, the Snap creators, and you can actually design your own filters. I had a quick go of Munkustrap, just so you can see that it is actually possible. Oh, sorry, it's just popped somewhere else. And I don't think it'll let me show at the moment because I do have my camera on somewhere else, but you can, where is he? No, it's not showing right now, but you can actually get a 2D version of that. So yeah, I don't think it's going to let me preview it right now because I've already got my camera on. That's okay. Cool. So we'll try that. If we went to snap camera. Oh, there we go. So let me turn this other one off. And there you go. That was my first attempt at Munkustrap. Again, nowhere near perfect. And then I thought, oh, maybe I could pay someone to do it, but the turnaround was going to be too long. So that was my attempt at Munkustrap. Let's get rid of that. So I thought, no, we won't do that. So instead, we'll just go back to me being a cat. So that was my first attempt. So we ended up going with that one. And then I'll turn that off for now, just so I don't destroy you too much. And then so I had that in place. The second thing then was getting the visual effects. So I was trying to find something that would do background effects and overlay and stuff like that. So I did some Googling and I found a couple of ones. One of them was called Resolume.com, and it looked really, really powerful, but you had to pay a few $100s for it. And I'm like, no, I'm doing this for free. Then I came across this other one that's a bit more basic. It's called VSXU Play. And this is what it looks like. It's got a few different effects. So here's one of them now. And what they do is that it responds to the volume, the sound, and it's in real time. Directly to that. It can respond to my voice, so I'm going to do a clap. And there are different ones in there. So, hey! Yep, woo woo! So I could use that, which is good. And I had my cat's face in place. And then it was the matter of putting those things together. And then I also made a couple of videos, one for the dogs that go bark, 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 and pop up like this. When I go bark, 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 bark. And I had the Rumpus video as well, which I put together as him just sort of fading in and out in a quite mysterious and strong way. So I made those two videos, just they're not hard to produce them. And then I had to run all of that through the OBS. So I'll leave that running there. And OBS is Open Broadcast System software, which is really powerful. And it's a little bit trippy at this point in time, but what I'll do is I'll go like this so you can keep seeing that, but I'll show you what I've got here. So I've got several different scenes here, and I won't go into all the detail of it. Now I'm going to look a bit funky here because because I've got some filtering going on and it's daytime and I don't have a blue screen behind me, it's going to look quite dark. But so that's just plain on its own. I've just got my snap cam going on, and I'll turn my cat's head on so you can see that a bit more clearly. Not that one, I'll turn on that one. Okay, so that's starting to take shape. So I'm a cat, and it's starting to look a bit trippy, and I also had a blue screen behind me to try and get rid of some of the clutter in the background. And then I put on the effects as an overlay, but partly it's semi-transparent. It's an opaque background, and as you can see, so I had one that was sort of a bit softer, and I had another scene then that was a bit more stronger, where it was sort of more to the front. And then every minute or so, this was changing what the effect was. Some of them were a bit too heavy. I do have a newish computer, so it was a bit and it needed to be quite heavy in the processing. So an older laptop wouldn't handle. The other ones were then with the video. I've got this barking video where dogs bark, 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 bark. So I sequenced that video together just with, I cut some clips from YouTube of dogs barking and put that into a film editor, which I used called Mavavi, and just put them up and wanted them to sort of pop up left and right around me. And then I also had the Rumpus cat video where he slowly fades in and out, and hopefully it'll start working. It might be a bit hard to see in the day. Yeah, it might not work on this background, but he's meant to be fading in and out. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just show you what it looked like when I did it the other night. Yep, so here you can see him fading in and out there like that. So there's the Rumpus video. And then what I needed to do was be able to swap between the different scenes, like I am here, but because I was playing instruments at the same time, I needed an easier way of being able to swap. So what I could do was go into the settings of the OBS and change the hotkey, which means I could use a tap on my, just a key on my keyboard, and assign a key to switch the scene. So as you see, I just used the number pad with different numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to switch between those. So I'm going to switch between them now. 4, 3, 2, 1, 5. And that 5 is the Rumpus cat sequence. All right. So that's how I did all those visuals. That's why I got the So now that bit's done, I'll show you what I did with the crazy kids. They were on drugs, weren't they? Then I'll show you what I did with the sound. Now, typically with Zoom, there are some limitations. Firstly, you need to be able to run, the camera needs to be a webcam that can be seen. And I downloaded with the OBS, I downloaded a plugin, a virtual camera, which takes the output of the OBS and turns that into a webcam that can be seen by Zoom. So that was virtual cam, and you just hit start, and then it becomes available within Zoom. So that's how that could connect to Zoom. With the audio, typically you can only play a microphone, or you can share audio. And what I wanted to do was be able to take the output of Ableton. So this is Ableton, and now I'll get rid of my cat's head. So this is Ableton. It's a dedicated audio workstation, and there's a lot you can do with it. So what I needed to do was route the audio out of here and make that be seen by Zoom, which also wasn't easy. So what I did was I found a audio routing tool called Voicemeeter, and it wasn't easy to figure out. There's quite a bit of testing involved. So Voicemeeter Banana takes different sources of audio, input both hardware and virtually, and it can then spit it out into like its own audio output. I don't know all the terminology here, as you can see, but then that could be detected as Voicemeeter from Zoom. So I'm not inputting, my microphone in Zoom is not my normal microphone. It's actually called Voicemeeter Banana input or output or something like that. So that's how I could get the output from there, and then I had to sort of set all that up within Ableton. My audio device is Awefull, which is a free it's free audio device, and I had to sort of set it up quite specifically for what I had here. So I needed to be able to still have my microphone, but I also wanted to output it to Voicemeeter. So it went microphone into Ableton, and then using Awefull, be able to output that into Voicemeeter, and then from Voicemeeter output that into Zoom. So yeah, there's a bit going on in this chain, but it works. Then I put together the different scenes. So I've got the opening part with Jellicle, and then Mistopheles, then the battle and the verse and the bark were the main two sections. There's a bridge section, the guitar instrumental, and then there's sections with Rumpus, and then finishing off the Deuteronomy. In each section, I've got different instruments that I was playing together. So the first one was just pads. Second one was an arpeggiator with a drum loop and pads. And it keeps going on like that. Here on the right, you can put in the beats per minute and the time signature. And that, when I change it in here, actually changes the tempo, and I needed that for changing my drum tempos, which play behind the music that I'm playing. And the drums are triggered by me actually playing the keyboard. So an example of that, if we go to verse, that's playing 100 beats per minute, like a bass. was able to put together and arrange the different sections of the song. But then I also needed to be able to trigger easily without needing to sort of click on a mouse again, how to trigger the different parts of the song. So what I could do in here was I used my keyboard and assigned my keyboard to change the scene using some extra buttons on my keyboard, and I can show you that up close actually. So if I go here, I'll probably need a combination. I might go back to there. So here on my keyboard, I can press A1 and you'll see that that changes the scene. So I've just assigned these buttons here to the different scenes, A2, A3, and you can see it's just moving through the different sections. So I was triggering with these, I was playing my keyboard, I was singing into the microphone, and I was then triggering the different visuals as well with my number pad. So that's how I could put all those different parts together. And I was just holding my breath. I was actually quite nervous because I wasn't sure if it was all going to work or if anything was going to glitch and have some technical difficulties, which thankfully it didn't. On the whole, there are a couple of things that didn't quite go the way I wanted, but it kind of worked, I think. And so that's all the pieces put together. That was the process of me figuring out how to do it, coming up with a plan, figuring out what I needed to learn, and then making it all fit together. So hope that's a little bit of fun for you. It's quite geeky, but not uber geeky. I can't do really crazy geeky things, but that's how I push myself in the space of 3 days. Hope you enjoy that video. Thanks for watching, and keep telling stories and keep making music and do what you do best. Push yourself.
Jellicle cats meet once a year on the night when we make the Jellicle choice. And now that the Jellicle leader is here, Jellicle cats can all rejoice! The awful battle of the Pekes and the Pollicles, together with some account of the participation of the ponds and the ponds, and the intervention of the great Rumpus. The Pekes and the Pollicles, as everyone knows, are proud and implacable, passionate foes. It is always the same wherever one goes. And the pugs and the ponds, although some will say that they do not like fighting, yet once in a way they will now and again join into the fray. And they bark, 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 until they can hear them all over the park. Bark, 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 until you can hear them all over the park. Now on the occasion of which I shall speak, nothing had happened for nearly a week. And that's a long time for a pole or a pig. The big police dog was away from his beat. I didn't know the reason, but most people think he'd slipped into Wellington's arms for a drink. And no one at all was about on the street when a peak and a pollicle happened to me. They did not advance or exactly retreat, but they glared at each other and scraped their hind feet. And they started to bark, 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 until you could hear them all over the park. Bark, 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 until you could hear them all over the park. Now the peak, although people may say what they please, is no British dog but a heathen Chinese. And so all the pigs, when they heard the uproar, some came to the window, some came to the door. There was surely a dozen, more likely a score. And together they started to grumble and wheeze in their huffery, snuffery heathen Chinese. But to tell what did is what Pollicles like. For your Pollicle dog is a darling Yorkshire tyke. Dogs of every nation, the Irish, the Welsh and the Dane, the Russian, the Dutch and Dalmatian, and even the China in Spain, the poodle, the palm, the Alsatian, and the mastiff who walks in a chain. And to those who fritzy Pollicle, let my meaning be perfectly plain. That my name is like little Tom Pellicle, and you better not do it again. And his brawls got cousins of snappers and pipers, and every dog back of the notable parts. And so they stepped out with their pipers in order, playing when the blue bonnets came over the border. Then the pugs and the poms held no longer aloof, but some of the balconies, some from the roof, joined into the din with a bark, 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 until you could hear them all over the park. Bark, 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 until you could hear them all over the park. Oh, oh, oh. Now, when those bold heroes together assembled, the traffic all stopped and the underground trembled. And some of the neighbours were so much afraid that they started to ring up the fire brigade. When they suddenly, up from the small basement flat, why, who should stalk out but the great Rumpus cat. His eyeballs were like fiery, fearfully blazing. He gave a great yawn, and his jaws were amazing. And when he looked through the bars of the area, you never saw anything fiercer or scarier. And what with the glare of his eyes and his yawning, the Pekes and the Pollicles quickly took warning. The Pekes and the Pollicles quickly took yawning. He looked at the sky and he gave a great leap, and every last one of them scattered like sheep. And when the police dog returned to his beat, there wasn't a single one left on the street. Dogs all must, Pollicle dogs and cats all must, like undertakers, come to dust.
McCavity!